Hey, Melissa.
Hi, how are you doing?
Good. So we just finished our public Facebook Live, and now we're over here talking to you, the agent, and today we're talking about senior transitions. I, like many of you, probably have the SRES no, designation,
hmm
and I found that while it was a ton of great information, and here at our local association, we had a really good person come in and talk about local resources, and we had some different experts come in, and that was really helpful. But I still felt like it was overwhelming. I mean, there's so much information, and they have to pack it into 2 days. Also, I took it on the day the world shut down in 2020, so
There,
we were expecting them to come in and kick us out of the room. That was the last thing that any of us did for quite some time. And so we didn't have the opportunity to kind of follow up quickly because nothing was open for the next several months or years or however long that took. So then I met Mel, and it was such a spark and such a great resource for filling in those holes I felt I had in my knowledge. Now, I help a lot of seniors, um, but I felt like there was only so much I could do. I have the MLS, I have, some knowledge of local communities, but they were confusing. There are many, they're all a little bit different. Um, and so that was really daunting. And so most of the time they've been kind of doing that part on their own or with their family. And I felt like I could help more. I think that's really what it always is how can we be more helpful in what we do, right? And then I met Mel, and boy, oh boy, does she know everything.
oh,
So
well, thanks for that. Now I have
tell
to
us,
read
tell
more.
us where you came from and how you fit all this in your brain.
Oh, well, thanks so much. Kudos to you. And by the way, love what you've already done and all the stories I hear in our conversations about you helping seniors. And you need to give yourself more credit, just so you know. Um,
Okay.
I appreciate it. So for me, I am a nurse by trade. I have been in the senior living industry for 30 years now, everything from home health, home care to hospice and onward to retirement living, corporate ladder and behind the desk. And then stumbled, I should say, into real estate, but actually that's not so true. Came from a legacy of realtors. So it's always been in my blood. And then you mix in a little HGTV and you get my new business plan. So I have my own company called Pen to Paper, but I also am very honored to be an agent with EXP Real Estate as well. I actually am licensed in 3 states and throughout the Pacific West. And
Wow.
ability through my partnering nationally that I am now without a barrier. Actually, upwards of Canada as well. So it's really exciting to be able to have resources available to any and every senior and family out there. And I do mean, regardless of where they are, there is a plan that can be created. And so I'm honored to be able to talk to fellow agents to hopefully add a little bit onto the wonderful SRES and openly. And I've joked with Ruth about this. It's a slam dunk course. And I say, gosh, how did I put 30 years into it? And they slammed it into 12 hours. And with that, I don't want to discredit it. And in all honesty, for a while I did. I was like, wow, it's a course. But life experience, as you know, adds so much to what you can provide. And that's where the day-to-day hurdles that come up in a conversation with your families when you're looking to either downsize them into a smaller home or sell their home, and you don't even realize what they're actually facing day to day as they're moving into retirement, because as Ruth mentioned, you're not involved in that avenue. This is an opportunity for me to hopefully educate more and more agents out there over time. And I'm trying to be expeditious on that timeline so we can serve more seniors and their families and fill in those holes, as you've mentioned. So 100% nationally.
It's also, so since we've started working together, I don't just have you know, a, a book with information in it. I have someone I can reach out to and ask real questions and get an anecdote back, or get a question back that I hadn't thought of. All of those things that are more subtle, more nuanced, more um and deeper,
Thank
I
you.
think.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I think the biggest thing that I've seen as I've been expanding is being able to be that resource to fellow agents. Because like we mentioned, I want to call it old school. The old school adage was our job was to sell the home, be as empathetic and amazing as we already want to be for these families to offer support. But it was the next step that, in all honesty, we kind of passed the baton. Oh, where are
Yeah.
you? Oh, did you see that place? I saw it on the corner, but we didn't have the depth. And maybe, and I don't want to discredit again, maybe some agents walked in and introduced themselves to these individuals at these different locations to be able to have more knowledge, because we're always seeking knowledge, right? Whether
Mhm.
it's courses or anything. But the bigger piece that I'd love to add is being able to know what happens behind the scenes helps with that partnering to happen more instantaneously, and to be able to get what you really need to support these families through this transition. And it also opens up a whole nother avenue to expand our careers and opportunities as agents to always know more. We are going to be in this constant silo if we don't keep expanding our knowledge. And that's why we keep taking courses, right? And so this
Well,
is just.
and one of the things that you brought to my table was, as I said, I'm exploring these communities, trying to figure out what's the difference between them, what's memory care versus assisted versus independent versus I don't know. There's so many, and sometimes it's obvious that they use the same term to mean
Sure.
or two different terms to mean the same thing, and so it's confusing.
Mhm.
And I figured if it's confusing to me, it's got to be really confusing to someone who isn't so savvy on navigating a website or traveling or doing all of these things that are kind of necessary. And um and I tried a few times to learn more, and I'm sure I did learn more, but
Yeah,
I never felt like it was enough. I never felt like I was really an expert in that area. And what you taught me, which I think was probably, I mean, all of it's so helpful, but this really stands out. And I don't know why I didn't think of it, because it's what we do, right?
absolutely.
You taught me what the people at those communities need,
Yeah.
what they're looking for, what the staff is looking for, what the sales staff is looking for, what those connections that we want to make,
Right.
what's important to them. And I mean, isn't that what we always do when we sit down with a client and find out what's the most important thing to them?
Right.
Is it getting
Absolutely.
the most money for your house? Is it the quickest sale? Is it the least bother?
Yeah.
What among those things is most important to the client? And yet I wasn't putting myself in there, or maybe I was trying to, but I didn't know enough. And
Let me.
you know
Yeah.
the other side of it.
I want to share with you a story that resonated with me and why this all kind of came about back in the day. As I said, real quick, come from a legacy of realtors. And as a result of that, always was interested, tagged along all the time. And it was fun for me. It was very fascinating. But when I remember very clearly and got one of my first roles as a sales manager, I kind of hung up my nurse hat for a little bit and went into a community and worked behind the desk. So any of you may have, went into a place and introduced yourself. And I remember realtors coming in and handing me a card saying, if you have anybody that needs to sell their home, please let me know. And they walked out. And I was like, okay, I'm going to use my mom, whatever, that's fine. And I kind of made a joke of it all in my head. But then it made me think, well, what if I actually had one or two key sources that I could tell them all about this client sitting in front of me? Do you know what a gift that would be, as opposed to me farming a tract of homes that we hope over 5 years of handing out, the flags in the yard, and they're great and we do it. But to be able to have a direct link, and I can tell you how to get that done. And in doing so, the real reason we get to help another family. And that's really the takeaway. Now a senior gets help all the way from their home into their new home, no matter what that looks like. And we need to be able to have those connectors out there more in abundance, if I should say it that way, as opposed to those who just try it and might get it right. And Ruth, I'm so appreciative. You are an amazing sponge. And I mean that in the biggest compliment, because I share with you everything that I want you to know. Guard down. I just want you to get out there and help any family member that you can, and know you're doing it with confidence. And that the receiving end in these communities are actually going, wow, that's who I need to partner with, because she gets it. She gets me.
Yes.
She gets my struggles. It's a
Yes, and
beautiful.
also Mel's system works on both sides. So we have people coming to us saying, I know you, or their kids are coming to us saying, I know you, I know your reputation, I know what you do, we need your help. And then I'm able to tap into Mel.
Yeah.
Or we've got people coming to us from these communities
Mm-hmm.
who have gone to the community first and are now looking for the realtor to sell their home.
Right.
So we get we get it on both sides with this process and this program. And if you're a realtor and you're interested in tapping into this, reach out. We'll connect you with Mel, and she is working to build her network across the country.
Absolutely.
And it's just amazing. I've been so blown away by what I've learned in our partnership so far and where my business is going with this. But there's one thing that you said when I first heard you that blew me away. And I think realtors, this is it. Tell me, Mel, how many senior apartments are going to be built? Oh, I lost your volume. We lost your volume. Can you hear me? Can't hear you. Can't hear you. Your mic is on. No. Try to go out and come back in. See if that works. I'll text you. Because this, you got to hear this, agents. Hold on, let me text her. Try going out and come back in. Oh, she already figured it out. So that was quite a teaser, right? We'll leave you. We won't leave you with that. Hopefully here she is. She's coming back, and we will see if we can
I
hear her.
apologize
Yes.
completely. But what I wanted to say as I was talking over everybody, and I so deeply apologize, is I want to be sure that all of you that are online, if you know of anybody nationally, as I mentioned, another agent, a friend across any state, please help spread the word, because we just want to help more families. And I want to make sure that locally we are here to help everybody that we can, but it's always word of mouth, the beauty of Facebook, the beauty of YouTube, and all of that. So I didn't know if you were cutting me off, and all of a sudden
No, we could not hear you at all. So you went blank, and then when you came back, there was no volume.
I'm
So that's
no,
okay. But we did not hear. The big question is, how many of these senior community units are being built over the next few years?
oh my gosh. Fact and actual numbers, I'm so sorry. I have a blank, but I do want to give you a different statistic. They are leaps and bounds in every single city. I mean, you can look in your own neighborhood and you see the bricks and mortar coming up. But I want to give you a number that I hope will impact you more, as far as just in general terms. Out of the people that are in and looking in these communities, 85% of the individuals need to sell their home. So realtor wise, I'll come back to you with those other stats, but
So I know it was in the millions.
yeah. Oh yeah.
And so the point that I want to make is that's where our inventory is going to come from.
Absolutely.
So building, houses is going to take a long time.
Yeah.
Building multi-unit communities that are already underway, that are already planned, that are already designed, that are already permitted, et cetera,
Absolutely. And
across the country,
to
and
100
then they need to sell their house. 85% of those millions of people moving into those units need to sell a house.
Absolutely.
That's the inventory.
Yeah. And there's the pipeline that I don't want to say it's easier. It takes the effort and the dedication, but in order to be able to have a created pipeline that you can nurture year in and year out, the industry, seniors are going nowhere. It is only going to continue to increase in volumes. And with that, we need to be educated enough to help them the right way, and not just be somebody who is just taking off a slight layer, but really deeply involved.
Exactly. And so first of all, there's a massive number of them, because starting with the crash, starting 15 years ago, people did not move at the rate that they were expected to, right?
Right.
People
Absolutely.
didn't downsize from the 4 and 5 bedroom house. They were 70 and they decided to stay there, and now they're 85 and they're still there.
Yeah.
Um, and
Number right now. I was in Boise last week and literally drove by 5 brand new, not even open communities, minimum of 100 units. And again, the units are the apartments. So just think about it for raw numbers on homes. Out of that, 500 people are going to be moving in. 85%, meaning 480 approximately homes that need to be sold. So why not be that type of agent that is fully educated and empowered to be able to make a difference?
And if you do this well, so this is not a transactional realtor
No,
conversation.
no.
This is not somebody who's looking to turn those numbers. This is somebody who is a relationship builder, who cares about people because there's times when it's hard.
Yeah. And
And
there are so many avenues, Ruth, as we've shared already, that this develops. It's not even just selling the one home. It's not even the fact. So, just to give you a raw example, I placed an individual in a community. It was actually the one that had the 17 members sitting around the table, and we had
yeah,
a family. As a result of that one transaction, I sold their home. I sold the sister's home in Arizona, placed 2 additional family members, and then somebody just called from the family who lives in Texas. So that's off of one literal conversation. And that has nothing to do with the communities that they went to. Referrals have come from them. So that's where, if you can, it gave me chills. That's where you can see, if you dedicate yourself, think about all the different avenues and courses that we've all taken over these last few years, especially with all the changes. And how do we sell to this? How do we sell now that NAR has this regulation? How do we have high interest rates? And we take every course to try to jump over it. Guess what? This is an easy, and I do mean that, if you're dedicated, an easy route for a life sustaining career with a population that is only going to literally grow and grow. And that's the beauty of it. And the honor behind it is we get to serve. And that
yeah,
truly is where I'm at. That we get to do something that doesn't feel like work, I promise you, when you do it right.
yep.
And it's so fulfilling. And I just can't wait to share with more people. And I thank you for being just such a huge support. And I can't wait to see what all that you come about with it.
Thanks. I'm really excited about, again, how many people we can help and how many agents we can help.
Sure.
Um, and it just goes on and on, right? That's the beauty of working like this.
Yeah.
So thank you,
Thank
Mel, for sharing your knowledge. We're going to have a seminar locally, and we'll, if you want to reach out and learn how to do that as well, just we're here. So hope to hear from you and let us know how we can help you help your business.
Most definitely. Have a
All right.
wonderful
Thanks. Bye bye.